Hey, what's up, everybody? BDF 44 coming at you with another video. I'm feeling okay, you know what I mean? I think the mood overall is just solemn because of everything that's going on in the world, but all things considered in my life, I feel about as fine as I'm going to feel. I just think that my overall spirit is drawn down, and it's not because of my own circumstances. I think that's what it really comes down to. Every Laker video I'm doing, every conversation I'm having on the phone, it's really drained by the truth of what's going on that I'm seeing. You know what I mean? It just really does bring you to a space where you just don't feel all that good. You know what I mean? Uh, Children are dying, man. What can I say? I'm seeing it all over my Instagram. I'm not necessarily pulling myself away from it in any way, and it brings my spirit to a space where I can't really smile too much. Now, I can tell you guys the truth. My way my psychology is set up, I'm not really traumatized by what I'm seeing. That's the God's honest truth. I'm finding that I could see those images and not like be in terror. I don't know if it's because of the video games that I grew up watching or just I'm wired a certain way. I don't know. But what I'm seeing to my consciousness is not bringing me to a space where I'm like shaking or nothing like that. Or crying, or that's not what it is. It just gets to a point where it's like you're just bothered to no end. You know what I mean? It ain't even about your emotions. It's just like, this is draining. You know what I mean? It's really draining to see the indifference that's taking place on high while the people are screaming out. And so that's where my head is, man. I just got through reapplying for GR. Went through the whole process of signing over the phone, kind of a verbal signature, and we'll see how it goes. Since they denied me the first time in regards to having stock, we'll see how it goes this go round. But I mean, it's just, I'm telling y'all, my whole soul is just down. Seeing the images in my phone without trying to trigger others, man, it just gets to a point where you don't want to look away because you don't want to lose sight of what it is that's important. Obviously, my mind expands to everywhere, not just where I'm seeing this, but like I mentioned Congo, I will continue to mention the Congo. I want us to get informed on what's going on in the Congo. I want us to get informed on what's going on in China, in the western northwest, I guess is what I'd call that. I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but of China, the Muslims that are being treated horribly there. I've become aware of that horrible genocide-like circumstance. Millions of people are being treated poorly, getting shot up and stuff just to keep China in order in regards to their borders and stuff like that. It's just some weird evil going on that most of us are not aware of, and I've become aware of it. And it's just one of those situations where you just understand the horrors that are going on in the world, and you want to lend your voice to it, but you understand that a lot of these horrors you benefit from because the U.S. Is in a position to benefit from them. And so that's what we were talking about on the way to Target. As I was walking there, it's hard to be at peace, knowing that my peace is because of the ability for us to protect ourselves off of the profit of these atrocities. That's it, man. It just wears you spirit all the way down. I'm fortunate enough to be somebody who can watch these images without having nightmares. I'm desensitized to no end as I look at these images, seeing babies being held lifeless. And I'm just like, you know what I mean? They look like dolls, as if they never had life at all, man. And you don't ever get these images out of your mind. Only time will tell how these images will play out in our heads as we continue to move forward. Obviously, it's just so much going on in this vein. I've been able to kind of not see stuff like this throughout the course of my life until now, over the last 2 weeks, where I'm seeing it every couple of minutes, and to realize the horror that these people are going through, man. I just don't really want to talk about anything other than that. Last week I was talking about how I was dealing with different things in my own mental health, struggling with my, my position on my friendship with Kay and how I want things to go in that vein. And I'm telling y'all, man, I'm in a whole nother space this week. I am not thinking about any of those things I was thinking about last week. And maybe that's a good thing for myself, but maybe it's not when you consider what it is I'm thinking about. I'm looking at myself right now and I feel drained. I almost feel like I didn't smoke some weed, and I have not. I just have not. That's the natural reaction I'm feeling from just all of this evil, man. Honest to God, that's exactly what it is. You just get to a point where it wears you out. Maybe I'm physically tired. Maybe that's what it is. I haven't napped or anything. I don't feel like working out, I can tell you that. I feel like I worked out on the way here. Carrying everything back from Target, sweating like I was running a marathon, man. That was a real hot walk. It's probably like 91 degrees out here in North Hollywood. Sitting on the phone for an hour, I guess that could drain you too. Sitting there waiting for GR. I can tell you this though, if you're trying to get a hold of somebody to talk to with DPSS, the best time to call them is probably around 1:30, because it took all of 10 minutes for me to get connected to the initial lady who was going to do the interview. It was the processing lady that took an hour to speak with. So keep that in mind if you're trying to get a hold of them. Calling it like 8 in the morning, you'll be on the phone for 3 hours. Call it 1 in the afternoon, you'll be on the phone for about an hour and a half. But my head is there, man. My head is with the Palestinian people, man. I don't particularly find myself worried too much about myself, even though I got a lot to consider. A lot I'm working against my mental health. I forgot to tell you guys I was able to speak to a lawyer in regards to the SSI process. SSI lawyer, disability lawyer, and he's going to send me out a packet to sign, and we're going to be prepared for the appeal process after the denial, which is inevitable according to him. You got to have a significant amount of medical history that leads up to showing that you are in fact unable to work any job of any kind before they're willing to give you disability for not working. The good thing is I've been out of work for 2 years, and I've been doing this mental health thing for the past 3 months or so. Unfortunately, I've only had like 5 conversations with my therapist, if that. And so now that she sent back that mental health certification letter in regards to DPSS, stating that she believes I deserve GR, I can move on from her, basically, because I'm not getting what I need there. As I told you guys, Taraji P. Henson has a program right now where she's given us access, black males access to free therapists. I did reach out to one of them. I haven't gotten back. She hasn't gotten back to me as of yet, but there are many others that I can reach out to by way of that program. So I'm kind of excited about maybe being able to get a therapist through that program. And as I said, talking to the SSI lawyer was a big deal for me, because they gave me a lot of understanding of what to expect come January. I ain't gonna be getting no checks in January. What I will have likely to do is appeal, and we'll be ready for that if I continue to stay in contact with this individual. So that was a big breakthrough for me. I've been praying a lot for my own circumstances in regards to breakthroughs. I'm like, God, if you want me to work, please put it in my heart to work. I'm ready to be ready. Prayed about it this morning, and this is what transpired in my day. Took care of what needed to be taken care of in Target, came back home, and then received the phone call from the SSI lawyer, then proceeded to see more death in my phone, children dying, and then proceeded to call the GR people and just reapply, man, off a whim. Just reapply, man. If they deny me again, so what? But do have it in a process going. Don't try to just appeal, because that appeal is going to require for me to do more than reapplying would. Just reapply and let it be that. So that's what I'm doing. And of course I made it so that it made more sense for me to reapply this time than last time. And we'll see what happens. But I'm ready for the Laker game. I did enjoy doing my Laker video this morning. I had a lot more to say about the squad than I thought I would. So that's a positive. But you know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, man, babies are dying, fam. And it's one thing to know about it, hear about the genocide and all of that. It's another thing to be seeing it in your phone and just be worn out by it. And while I'm in a privileged position to be worn out, which is why I don't unfollow the people who are showing it to me. If anything, I'm following more people who are showing us this stuff because I want to be traumatized, so to speak. I want to be aware of this. I want to know why the terrorist attacks are going to be hitting our country and why we're going to be going to World War III and why we're going to be on the wrong side of it. And I want as many people to see me on this channel and on IG speaking against it as humanly possible so that you know that I never was with this bullshit. And most of the people that I've spoken to feel the exact same intense way that I do. And I'm already seeing fake accounts from people who claim to be Arabs saying F the US because we hate Muslims. No, we do not. No, we do not. And it ain't just Muslims being destroyed by this. It's Christians being hit by this. It's various different people who believe whatever they believe. It just so happen to be Palestinian, and that's who they're trying to kill. They don't care what religion those people are. They just want to make sure they wipe them out. They bombed the third oldest Christian church, if I'm not mistaken. Third oldest Christian church in the world was bombed today. And from what I saw from a gentleman who they were speaking with, essentially he was in there, and he said they called them. They, meaning the Israeli whomever, the Israeli army, told them, hey, look, y'all gotta get out of here and go. Y'all gonna go somewhere else, or we gonna bomb you in there. And the man said that he responded by telling them he would rather die where he's at. And they sent bombs in there and killed up everybody in there except for him and a few people who survived. Like, they didn't care that there were innocents in there. I understand that Hamas exists. I also have read that Israel funded Hamas. Hamas defected on Israel, and now Israel is waging war against Hamas. That's what I've read. How much truth that holds, I don't know. But that's something that we should have understanding of that's out there. Babies. From what I understand, Gaza is 50% children. That would explain why so many children are dying in this situation. Where are the Hamas soldiers that are supposed to be being targeted? I need my POTUS to answer that question for this citizen. If Israel is in fact trying to target Hamas soldiers, why aren't any soldiers' bodies being removed from these buildings? The only thing that's being removed from these buildings are children. That's it. I'm not even seeing too many adults being removed from these buildings. It's just kids. And so I need that to be answered by Joe Biden. I need that answered for myself. I'm not getting it. And that's what it is. So, I am willfully and welcoming the trauma that comes from seeing these images in respect for those who have to deal with the trauma in real life. Those who are there, the children who are seeing this, who happen to be survivors, who are forever traumatized by this, forever with PTSD to the max because of this. I've seen so many images of children shaking, crying, little boy walking back and forth talking about, I don't want to die. I'm not going to run from that just because it drains my spirit. I'm not going to run from that. That is something, as an American who benefits from all of this, I deserve to see. And so do the rest of us, unfortunately. And so long as they're going through this, we need to see it so that we are not confused about why we're going to be attacked. I'm just going to tell you right now, it may not be right away, but there's going to be bombs bursting in the air and people doing all types of weird stuff to us because this is what our POTUS and his regime and the agreement that was put in place to back Israel no matter what is ultimately welcoming upon our people. Their kids die today, so our kids die tomorrow. And if you're confused by that, I'm sorry. I'm literally sorry for you, because that's exactly what this is. And I want people to know that we need to use our voices just like I'm using it right now, so that we can make it clear on the record exactly where we stand in regards to the choices that our government is making upon the people of Gaza and the Palestinian people. Because at this point, there's going to be a lot of people over there who think we're complicit with this, Just like there are a lot of people here who think the citizens of Israel are complicit with this. And I just sense better. Nobody who's seeing the images I'm seeing wants to see that happen to those children, wants that to take place, wants that to be the reality. Nobody who has any sense. I don't give a damn if you like me or hate me for my skin color. When you see what I'm looking at, it takes you to a different place. It takes you to a different place. Unless you're wired for horror, you are going to be worn down by what I've been looking at. And I'm unfollowing the hell out of some people who are acting like they don't see it. There's a lot of y'all out there who are acting like you don't see these images. I know you see them, and because of your political positioning, you think it's cool to not speak up. I'm telling you, I'm not dealing with you. I'm not dealing with you. The more of this I see, the less the respect I have for you. That's the reality of it. I know you see this, and you ain't speaking on it. And for those who say, well, you didn't have this much energy for Black Lives Matter. With all due respect to everybody affected by what we are talking about. They weren't killing up kids like this, fam. They weren't. If they were, we would be out in the streets doing something different in response to it. This wasn't happening to us. We don't know these horrors, man. We just don't. They put us to work. They put them to death. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? It's different. And yes, they killed a lot of our kids. And no, we didn't have to witness it in this generation. In this generation, we definitely seeing what's happening there. And that matters. That matters a lot, man. That I see it. And so that's where I'm at with it, man. I'm going to tell everybody, for as long as it means something to say, that I condemn the actions of the U.S., the actions of whoever is going along with this in every way. I don't give a damn what caused this type of evil or hatred. I don't care what happened. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? I don't. With all due respect to anyone who was lost in the Israel side of things, what I'm seeing does not garner this type of reaction. If you want to get people who got people of yours, you get the people who got the people of yours. You do not target children that have nothing to do with this from families that have nothing to do with this. And the first thing I'm seeing is, well, what about the hostages? With all due respect, friends, I don't know that this inspires much love for that aspect of the circumstance. When children are dying, fam, I don't want to hear about your hostages. I'm just going to be honest with you. I don't want to hear about them, especially when I don't know that the quote-unquote headless babies even existed. They say they were cutting off babies' heads. The only babies I'm seeing dying are Palestinian babies. So for all I know, those who are killing those babies are lying about those hostages. In fact, I have reason to believe that. Whole lot of reason to believe that. So I don't want to hear about the hostages. Show me where the hostages are at. You know what I'm saying? And I'll tell you this. If I was crazy enough to take your hostages and then you murder my babies, what do you think I'm going to do to your hostages? Let's just be honest. You're not exactly inspiring the preservation of their lives by murdering these children. You're not. So that's what I have to say to those who want to say, what about the hostages? Use your brain. If I'm on this side and I took some of your people and you killing my kids, those hostages are gone. Let's just be honest. So for those who want to believe that propaganda, I'm thinking differently. I don't think those hostages exist. And if they do exist, I do not think they exist, if that makes any sense. This is a one-sided circumstance that is murdering nothing but kids. Grown-ups are not being targeted, man. They're not. It's children that's being targeted. It's like they're hitting daycare centers every time they squeeze a bomb. And my president is cool with this because we are locked in with them for some treaty. You're not locked in with these people, not those people. You may have been locked in with the previous regime, but the regime that's killing kids, you ain't locked in with them. And he keeps on getting on here with this gaslight nonsense talking about, and we will stand with Israel. And no, you ain't gonna stand with these people. Not unless you want to go down with them. And so that's how I feel about Joe Biden and his rhetoric is insulting to the highest order. And I'm disgusted with him way more than I ever would have been disgusted with any president that came before him. I'll tell you that. He's by far the worst. And that includes the guy that just came in before him that we didn't like too much on this channel. He never did nothing like this. And to a point, I don't know if it even would have went this way if he was in office, honestly. I don't know that it would have. He did his own set of nonsense. But the level we on with this, nah, friends. I don't know that Donald Trump would have went along with that. I don't know. I don't think so. But part of me says, nah, probably not. Probably not. I've seen evidence of Trump being a bad guy. This ain't just bad, man. This ain't. There are levels. There's bad, and then there's this shit. So that's where I'm at with that. I think Joe Biden is putting himself in the crosshairs to be indicted with maximum punishments with this circumstance. I really believe that. And his parliament and however however you want to call it, I think they're in trouble too. I think they're in some real serious trouble for their war crimes. And like I said, it could be a real serious game of Jenga where if we pull out from Israel, it starts World War III. But trust me, World War III, we're on the brink of that right now. We're on the brink of that. And I want to tell all my soldiers that are watching this, all of my U.S. soldiers that are watching this, I would give a long, hard consideration to how much of this you actually want to be a part of when it comes to you actually putting boots on the ground. Because at the end of the day, what these guys are fighting to do is kill babies, fam. They want to fight for the right to kill children. That's what I'm looking at. I don't give a damn what other stuff is going on. I don't care how much of a role you want to play in serving your country. If serving your country fights for the right to kill children, I don't want nothing to do with you. I'm just being honest with you. We're gonna be a soldier for the betterment of saving lives, not for the continuation of killing children. Nah, I couldn't roll, man. Give me a dishonorable discharge. Get me out of this, because I got to be home to protect my children from what's coming. I can't be out there shooting guns at people who are angry at us for allowing this to happen. No, they have every right to be angry. I'm angry. So that's what I want to say to every single soldier that follows me, especially active ones. Give a long, hard thought to what it is that you're actually going to do right now. Because not every cause requires blind support. I think that's the point of all of this. That is the very point of all this. The government got it wrong. And whatever it is they're afraid of not letting happen for the sake of supporting these people is exactly what they're going to let get destroyed by way of these actions. You can't do this and receive any support from anywhere. So for all of y'all who want to turn y'all back on the U.S., I'm with you. Just remember who the U.S. isn't. It's citizens. Ironically enough, the word is us, and we ain't with any of that. There's millions of Americans that do not want to see any children hurt, let alone any children slaughtered, and it's definitely not for some bull crap like this. So people can fight for a right to do whatever to keep the land that they ain't even supposed to be on. Let's just be honest. You're not. And it's insulting to mention any retort at all. If you want to talk about babies whose heads been cut off, how many? You want to talk about the comparison of numbers? That's where it's going to be for me at this point. What they said, 50? They killed more than 50 today. When they talk about hostages, taking hostages would have been humane. You understand what I'm saying? Nah, I don't want to hear nothing, no retort from nobody. None. Not with what I'm seeing. No retorts. This needs to be condemned by everyone. And if you're not condemning this, then you're part of that problem. You're complicit. So that's gonna be my statement. I told y'all a long time ago, man. Both sides had people hurt on both sides, and then I learned. And I told y'all, if I would have learned more, I'd probably take a side. Well, here we are. And it ain't about good Israeli children losing their lives for the betterment of these people being saved. No, we don't want no children, no more. That's the whole point. I ain't gonna feel no better if it's Israeli children dying. Hell no, I don't want to see no more kids die. These are babies, man. I don't care what type of babies they are. Children, humans. Enough. I don't want to see puppies die like this. You feel me? Like, no, enough. What's really bothering me is every time, I'll put it like this. I was on the train yesterday, and a child that looked like he was from Palestine or of the Muslim faith or somewhere like that, the Arabic child, walked on to the train. He had to be no older than 15. He was on, he was on the train with his dad or his mom, maybe 12 to 15 years old. And I didn't see him alive. He was human, but he was just a reflection of every dead child that I'm seeing. This affecting my mind like that. You understand what I'm saying? Like now I look at him and I say, okay, I can also picture him lifeless because of these things. Little kids getting on, babies, it's like, okay, I see the children that are alive in front of me, and I also see the dead ones in my head based on what it is I'm seeing here. Because it's common to see both now. That's how real this has gotten. That's what this is doing to my mental health. And I can't see an alive child without seeing a dead one too. And I know I'm not alone on this. I'm sure you are too if you've seen as much of this as I have. Not everybody's built for gore, man. Not everybody is wired to see this much death. Not everybody is, man. We're well past being desensitized. And I don't want to hear nothing about no video games and none of that, because none of that will prepare you for the real thing. I played Resident Evil, I played Grand Theft Auto, I played all of that. We were not subjected to dead babies, man. Dead children. They would take that out the game. They would never let that be in the game. You understand what I'm saying? And as I've said, and I'll say it again, some of the people who want us to see this, they want us to be outraged for their own reasons. I meditate about such things. I do not trust everyone who's showing me these images. I do not. And I'm going to be very clear when I say this. There's a certain entity out there that I've long not trusted, and he the main one on the front line showing us these images. I don't trust that guy. He's already shown me his true colors, and they're very difficult to see, but I've seen them already. But what I'm telling you is, it don't matter, because what he's showing us needs to be seen, and he's taking his content from other people of whom I'm following now. So I don't need him to be a middleman no more. I'm following the direct people that he's following. That kind of thing. And I'm telling you, this is happening. And I don't see no end to it without basically a world war. And I think that they put a target on all of our backs because of it. And I don't think this ends well for our people here in the U.S. I don't. And I don't think it's going to be a quick response. I think we're going to see responses from this 30, 40 years from now. When the ones who do survive grow up. That's when you're going to see bombs bursting in there and all of that nonsense because of what Joe Biden's done, when Joe Biden will be long in his grave. And as I said online today, I don't think this is just Joe Biden. I don't think it would be too many presidents that wouldn't have to go along with some version of this. I don't know if they would have taken it as far as he is. But I think that there would have been some support for Israel regardless, because we just got an agreement with them. We're treaty with them or whatever. And then I tell you what I said a little earlier. I'm not so sure it's not us driving this, using them as a scope from which to do our will. I'm not certain that the U.S. isn't actually the ones killing these babies. I'm not certain. Because at the end of the day, Israel's about as big as California. They don't have the carte blanche to do any of this. They're surrounded. If you look at where they're at on the map, they're surrounded by Arab countries. They don't have the carte blanche to do this unless they got a big dog behind them. And that big dog is not going to be doing their bidding. They're going to be doing that big dog's bidding. So I asked Joe Biden, who's really killing these babies? Is it the Israeli government or is it you? We know you're funding it, but who's driving it? Who's the driving force behind this? I'll tell you right now, if Israel turns into a U.S. territory 20 years from now, we'll know the answer to that. If Gaza turns into U.S. territory 20 years from now, rather, we'll know the answer to that. The last thing I am is afraid to speak on this. The last thing I am is confused about whether or not more of this is happening elsewhere. Congo. We will not let any of that go by the wayside as we speak. Congo. Look it up. know what's happening there, know that there are children there being displaced and killed, all kinds of other crazy stuff. Congo, darker the people, the more valuable the land, the more desensitized we are at not viewing their children as real human beings. But let me tell you, as a black person, we're gonna change that culture. I'm gonna make every last one of y'all know that these children are just as much children as anybody else's kids. You're gonna know that if you follow me. Congolese children are children. White children are children. Chinese children are children. Palestinian children are children. Israeli children are children. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? There will be no difference. So long as I have a voice and I can help you understand what it is I feel in my heart, there will be no difference. If you're not looking to protect babies, you're on the other side of what I'm talking about now. And if you think there's something funny about this, you need to seek some serious help. So that's what's on my heart today, man. I don't know what else there is to say. I'm just going to keep on speaking in circles. That's the outrage, man. I'm outraged by who would otherwise back this up. Leaders from different countries who are co-signing this nonsense. And if there's something in your religious book that tells you to do this, you are the devil. You are not praying to a real God. You are praying to the enemy. If your book tells you you need to do an ethnic cleansing, you are in fact working for Satan. And every prayer you're sending is going to him. Believe this. Believe this with all your heart and soul. You ain't connected to the source that created all of us. You're connected to the source that's looking to tear everything down. Take everything from that source. The anti-source, so to speak. Because that's the only thing in existence that would actually co-sign this nonsense. I want to make that very clear. As somebody who speaks to God, knows God, who's seen his blessings in my life, talks about the timing of things, let me tell you, he is not asking any soul to do this at any time. So if you're telling yourself that, or you're telling your people that, I know where you're really at with things. I know who you really work for. Just letting that be clear. A lot of people are confused by that. They may not be spiritually inclined. They may not believe in religion whatsoever. I know who you report to. Ain't no God that created those children want them to suffer these ills. Nothing in no book that he's co-signed has ever told people to do this to get their land, to do this in response to theirs being taken from them, to do this in regards to their children being killed. He never told y'all to do that. And anything written in a book that says that is of the enemy. I think a lot of us understand that, but there may be a few who don't. They think, well, some gods, no. Not a good God, not a God that created you. He would never ask somebody to do this. So that's really my thought, man. I would say prayers out to those people of Palestine. That kind of go without saying, man. I think that's obvious. People of Gaza, children of Gaza, obviously, that goes without saying. People are trying to starve you and erase you from the map, trying to erase you from the history books. And I'm telling you, if nobody else is immortalizing you, BDF 44 is. You existed, you mattered, and the fact that you were discarded was an abomination to the God I serve. And I'm telling you right now, certain things are worth dying over. This is definitely one of them. BDF 44, I thank you all for watching. I'm out.